You are listening to the New Beginning podcast designed to inspire you. Let me introduce you to Sue Patz, who is the host of this channel. She provides resources like eCourses on SEO, sales funnel, win-win negotiations, which you can do yourself and save thousands of dollars. Her guests provide various tips and tricks to elevate your life. Now let's get started. Here's your host, Sue Patz.
Life and business move forward together. Be unstoppable in both. How is it possible? Because many times you come across with services, they tell you about all the life coaching and they totally ignore about your business. Other people just keep on emphasizing your business and they think, okay, if your business is everything is properly done, your life will be automatically properly done. And they don't talk anything about life. And you need balance in both because you are living both areas. You cannot ignore one to other because they go hand in hand. I come across with one person who takes care of both. Yeah, means after reviewing thousands and thousands of this kind of services, only one I came across who take care of both. And I'm so delighted to have her as our guest today. So without further delay, let me invite Sherry Knight, Dimension 11, and she will tell you about everything, how you can have business and life move forward together, both hand in hand. You have balance and you have perfect life in both areas. So without going any delay, here is Sherry.
Oh, thank you so much, Sue. Well, it's interesting what you're saying about a perfect balance in both areas. I wish that was true. Nobody has a perfect life. That's the reality. However, we can make our lives easier. And that is one of those things about living in the present, because when you live in the present, then you know what's going on now. You're not fretting about what happened before, and you're not worrying about what's going to happen, because any of those areas can cause us distress. I'm one of those people, I've made every mistake there probably is in the book, right?
But you didn't repeat the mistake, right? You did it once and then you did not repeat. That is the key, right?
It is. And I would like to say that that's total throughout my work life and my home life, my personal life. But here's probably a thing or two that I have done again and again and again. For instance, I burnt out. I burnt out once. Overwhelmed. Too much going on in my life. I burnt out twice. Overwhelmed. Too much going on in my life. I burnt out 3 times. I've not burnt out since then because I've learned what the symptoms are for me, because they're different for everybody. But once I get to that place of a little bit of overwhelm, I recognize it now. And because of that, I change what I'm doing. So I wish it was only once, but no, it was 3 times before I learned that one. And that's a pretty stressful one.
Let me tell you, mistakes, they don't define you, they refine you. So
Wonderful.
You means basically if you are not doing mistakes, then basically you are not a human being, because that is the way to learn. And it's the best way to learn from somebody else's mistakes. So now you did all these mistakes. So whoever you are coaching, they don't have to do those mistakes because you will teach them. So that is really great shortcut. So tell me about your organization, how you got started. I'm really curious to know.
Well, I got started very young. I started my first business at the age of 10.
Oh my goodness.
And at the age of 10, I was too young to babysit. I was not interested in getting out in the snow, etc. On the prairies, we have lots of snow and lots of cold weather. I didn't want to shovel snow for people and get paid for it, but I did want to buy Christmas presents for my family. There was no money in my family. Like many, there was, we eat, and we're pretty lucky we eat. And so from that perspective, I one day saw this tiny little ad, probably in a comic book, and I thought, it says sell Christmas wrapping, Christmas paper, Christmas tape, Christmas cards. I can do that. And so that was fine. I got all the information, but you had to send $50 for your first order.
Oh, wow.
Of course, nobody's going to give you money before you give them the product, right?
Oh, yeah.
A 10-year-old. And so my father trotted me down to the local bank, and I got my first bank loan. He co-signed my first bank loan. And from then on, for many, many years, I sold Christmas cards and Christmas things door to door. The benefit of that was that I learned no doesn't mean forever, right? No means not right this minute. And that's carried me a long way through two things, through my life and through my business, right? Because in business, we get a lot of no's. And one of the things that people teach us in business is to figure out how many no's you're going to have before you get to the yes. One way of looking at being able to track things and make sure that you're comfortable and knowing that just because you get a lot of no's doesn't mean you're finished. It only means that you have to approach things again or differently in a different manner, that there's no stopping us, right? You addressed my book. Unstoppable is my book. And that's that whole element about being in business and being in life, being unstoppable. That's a
really great attitude to look at no. It's not right now. And yeah, there are various other ways. I love this the best, not right now, but yeah, you can also say the next opportunity. Yeah, means there are various ways, but it's always better to look at no's in optimistic way. Yeah, that's how will make you unstoppable, right? Otherwise, means basically if you have a pessimistic or negative attitude, you won't take any further action. So
you won't. But the other part of no is learn how to say it, right? Because the kinder and gentler we are, the more some people, not everyone fortunately, but some people tend to take advantage of us. And so always saying yes to things, you have to think about it. There are times when I say to people, let me think this through. I had a staff member that would come in and say, I want to take such and such off and I want an answer right now. And I would say yes, until I finally sat down and thought about it and thought, this could impact the rest of the staff. And so I learned to say, if you'd like the answer now, the answer is no. If you give me 24 hours to think about it,
yes,
and check things out, then I'll perhaps have a different answer. So you've got to figure out what works for you, because it's very hard for many people to say no. They feel that they're letting others down. They feel that it's an impingement on their own self-worth when they say no. It's not. The important thing is to look after you and to look after your business. And I'm sorry, but over the years, I've fired friends. I've fired family. I've fired clients. And that's because of what you said there, Sue. And that is, I realized that they weren't helping me be a better person.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Okay. Association is so important, and you have to see the value exchange, whether you can add value to their life and whether they are adding value to your life. And if there is no proper value exchange, there is no point continuing that association. I totally agree with you. And that's beneficial for both parties, right? Yeah. Yeah.
And you don't have to be nasty or mean with the friends and the family. I just simply didn't start connecting with them. And so it just sort of slid away. I didn't have to say no. I just let it pause, and it generally stayed paused, right?
Yeah, many times they don't understand your dream, your motivation. So yeah, means that's perfectly okay. I remember you mentioning about door to door, because I have high respect for people who do door to door selling because it needs lots of guts. And especially at the age of 10, oh my goodness, because I remember when I was 10, the only focus I had with how many games I can play. I mean, I never had any kind of responsibility. So, means basically, door to door sell, it takes lot of guts. Tell me more about that because anyone who comes to sell to me at my door, I buy because I really respect because it takes lot of guts. It's not at all easy. It
Right.
might be simple, but it is not easy.
You're right. It's not easy. You have to have a stiff upper lip, as my mother used to say, because you get a lot of no's, and that's fine. It just helps us to understand what people are after and how we need to project ourselves in order to help them help themselves. Because that's what selling's all about. It's helping people who have a need. And somebody who doesn't have a need, that's fine. They don't need whatever it is I'm selling. And so based on that, then I need to figure out who might need my services as opposed to who probably doesn't. And I might talk to those people who I don't think need my services one time, but I might talk to those people who I think need my services and haven't bought yet. I might talk to them 10 times. You've got to figure out what works well for you from that perspective.
Yeah, follow up is very important because many times you get sell just by following up properly. Because many times people just quit after 1 or 2 follow-ups, and the statistics show that 3 to 10 follow-ups needed to get a really good kind of sell, and that is what is so important. That is a really valid point you made. But I also see no when you mentioned some no's, they are given nice ways. Some no's are really nasty.
Yep.
So how do you look at them? Because, many times you just want to provide good product, good service. You want to add value to other people's life, but they don't understand that. And they may not come back to you that way. They may not, of course, they don't appreciate you, but they may respond in a nasty way. Then what is your frame of mind that time? Because that is very important. I want to know.
Yeah, it's a really good point because what we have to remember is the customer is always right. Always. 100% of the time, the customer is right in their own mind. They might not be right according to you, but they are right in their own mind. And so based on that, you have to look at that from their perspective. I remember one time staff came in and said, oh, there's a really angry fellow on the phone. And I said, no problem. I'll take the call. So she puts the call through to me. And this gentleman starts right off, I'm Sherry. I'm the CEO. How can I help you? What right do you have to send me a fax? And I went, oh, okay. Well, people don't get emails or faxes or anything from us unless they've agreed that we could send that. So I'm really concerned that this is happening for you. So could you please give me your name and we will check this out and see what's wrong? I'm not telling you who I am. Okay.
Then how can I take you off the list?
Exactly. And that's what I said to him. I said, well, if I don't have your name, could you give me your number? Perhaps we could check that way. I'm not giving you my number. You sent me this fax. And so then I said, well, sir, I said, unless you could give me your name or the number, I'm sorry, I don't know how we could check it out. And so he said, never mind. And then just before he goes to hang up, he said, and who's going to pay for the paper? And I said, sir, if you would give me your name and your address, I would be glad to send you 25 cents for that sheet of paper. And he hung up. Now, he's sort of the extreme, right? But we do have to recognize that from his mind, he was right. From my mind, I can't help him unless I know what's going on. So it's that 1-2, 1-2 kind of thing where we have to explore it all and see where we come out. And even when we say no, I've fired clients. I'm sure that you have either wanted to, right, Sue, or done so. And that's a really important aspect for us to look at, because if we have a client that is taking an inordinate amount of our time, our energy, our resources, maybe it's time not to say, we don't want you anymore as a client, you're just too much trouble. Instead, what we want to say is, I really appreciate that opportunity that we've had to work with you. Things are changing now, and I think it would be best if you were to find someone who is more able to help you out. I don't have to be nasty. I just have to recognize that for me, this is no longer working, and now it's time for you to find somebody else. And in some cases, I've even made suggestions as to who might be able to help them.
Oh, wow.
I'm not able to anymore. And yeah, there are times when people phone me and want this or that or the other thing. And I'm going, whoa, that's not in my backpack. That is something that you need to find somebody else for. If I could make recommendations, here's a few people that might be able to help you. So from that perspective, now, if I am referring a client, and I think they might be a good client, then I will often phone whoever it is, the business, the individual, etc. I will phone them and say, I have just recommended you to company ABC, and I have told them that I would have you call. That way, because, we're human beings. We get busy and we forget that name on the top of our head that Sherry said. So we just go to the phone book or we go to the internet and we find somebody. And so this way I am giving work to somebody else that I can't, won't, whatever the reason is, that it's not available. So somebody else gets that opportunity to do that. But people rarely phone, so I always phone the company and say, you phone them.
Yeah, that is really great. So now you told me that at the age of 10 you started, but I want to know your full story. So the transition. Yeah, so means basically tell me your 43 years of experiences, means how it transitioned. Because now I really see the finished product. Means I know you are not finished because you are improving every day. But
yes,
for this moment, means I really see a really, really refined product. But I want to know the story of 43 years. So will you please elaborate on that?
Thank you. Makes me feel old.
Oh, no. When you started at the age of 10, yeah, means basically this is 43 is nothing. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I wanted to be a school teacher. Nothing more important to me than being a school teacher. And that's a different story. If you want to hear that one in a little while, we'll do that. But I got through college, went on teaching, loved it. That's when I had my first, we'll call it breakdown. It was the first time that I went too much work, etc. I quit the teaching, and then teachers were coming to me and saying, but I want to get ahead, but I only have this many skills and I don't know what I can do. And I went, oh, no. You've got this many skills. You just need to understand your skills and package them, right? So that they could move forward in the teaching field. So one day I went, this is a business. I'm giving all this away. And that's when I started my other business, my Dimension 11. And over the years, I did it part-time. I was in the teaching field. I'd left that. I went to work for the media. Then I went from there to the insurance, one of the top insurance companies in Canada, worked there for a couple of years. And somebody came into my office and said, if you don't make sure that you take your company full-time by the time you're 40, you never will. And I was so insulted. Really? Oh, I went home that night and thought about it. And the next morning I walked in and said, I'll be out of here in 2 weeks' time. Here's my resignation. And I took my company then full time. And so have been working that way ever since. I've had the opportunity to work around the world on 6 of our 7 continents. If anybody knows anybody in South America, not South America, sorry, the South Pole, Antarctica, that would like me to come and work with them, I would be thrilled. It's the only place I have from that end. But from that aspect, over the years, I've worked in so many different aspects, like recruitment and outplacement when people lose their jobs, and executive coaching, helping individuals in a company or a company leader get the business going the way they want it to go, and looking at the income that they want, because you don't always see it when you're inside, which is very important. I have coaches that help me with the things that aren't strong for me, things that I need to get a handle on, directions that I need to have, etc. And it's wonderful to have the VAs, the virtual assistants, or even the assistants when we had big staff, etc. I had lots of help. But in order to help the help, you need to understand what it is they do. You don't have to know how to do it all, but you have to understand enough to be able to give them direction. So that aspect. The other things I do, training and development, organizational development. We've got some programs coming up, very, very quickly, online programs to help people understand how to run their businesses, because that's an important part. One of the things that I always say to people who want to start a business is your family on side with this? Because if it's not, this will wreck your family.
Oh, yeah.
And it's
absolutely
not worth it at all. And so those are the things that I get involved with, Sue. I speak at a lot of conferences, conventions. I get invited to a lot of those to talk to. I'm the author, as you know, of the book Unstoppable, 7 Steps to Living Your Personal Best. But I'm also part of a collaboration book most recently. And I've got it right here, Small Business Startup, over 300 years of wisdom. So that's available online as well as my book Unstoppable in Amazon. But it's life is to be lived. So don't just sit down and let other people dictate to you what your life is going to be. You make the decisions, you live in the present, and see what you can do today towards that life that you want. It's not going to happen overnight.
Yeah, living in the present. I don't know why it is so hard for people, because either they are thinking about past mistakes or they are thinking about what to do in future, and hardly anyone is living in the moment. It is so important. And I really liked your point about giving directions to VA, because I work with lots of VAs, and what you want to tell and what they perceive, it can be totally different. So nowadays I just started doing, okay, this is what I want you to do, and I make a video. So this is how I do it, and this is, I want you to continue to do it, so that they have a complete instruction, so that there is no gray area, because it is so vital, because you are paying them, they are putting their time and money and energy and everything, and if the final result is not what you want, then what is the point? Because I lost my actually YouTube channel to that, because I outsourced it to someone, and they said, okay, they will take care of it. Because what happened, I was just doing too many things, and so I said, okay, I will create the podcast, you publish it on YouTube and on the podcast channels. And then in between, he started me asking, can I put these shorts, because these are related to your business and all. I said, okay, put the shorts and all. And then after some time, actually, I got a message from YouTube that your niche is getting too much diverted. Means basically it is not a single niche. It is so then I realized that my VA was putting all the shorts which are not related to my niche, and So means it is so vital, so important.
Yes.
I totally agree with you. And you mentioned, actually, I wanted to mention about the two things. One about the writing the books, and second thing about the collaboration. And writing the book, I really have a lot of respect for people who write books, because I'm a blogger, and I got even offer from people that they say they will combine my blogs and help me write a book. Still, I haven't started it yet, because writing a book is a totally different ball game. Because writing a blog is a totally, means I'm very comfortable at, I just get one particular point, and I can easily write 500 to 1000 words to that, and that is very easy. But writing a book and having the proper structure and uh, all the directions and all, it is a different ball game. And how did you write a book? And second thing I want to mention about the collaboration, because that is what actually I'm emphasizing on a lot nowadays. So tell me more about your experiences about the writing the book.
Okay, let's start with that. So if you are a blogger, you can find someone who can take your blogs and create those into a book. It doesn't have to be a separate entity. So anybody that's out there, if you blog, make sure that you get somebody that will help you take those and put them into a book. And here's the key thing. We tend, when we start to write, I don't care if it's an email or a blog or whatever, when we start to write, we become formal. So instead of, the word mother, we're probably going to talk about, or instead of the word mom, we're going to talk about mother, and we're going to make sure the sentence structure is all perfect. And we're not going to use slang like, what's up and these kinds of things. But, the reality is people want to read you, not the formal you. And so it's okay to write like you think, like you talk. And another way to be able to get a book written is to speak it. So you speak out, and then you record it, and then you give that to somebody else to make into the book for you. So from that end. Now, it's not easy, but it's not as hard as we want to make it. My first book, Unstoppable, took me 7 years to write. I'd start, I'd throw it out, I'd start again, I'd do a different topic. And finally, I got my book out. And the second one, I'm just a chapter in it, a collaboration. And that probably took me a day to write, get back the edits, etc., make the adjustments, and just a couple of days, and it was done.
Yeah, I totally actually appreciate your point, to be authentic. Because nowadays, why TikTok is so popular? Because people are not trying to be professional or formal. They're just trying to be authentic and genuine. And those kind of videos are making big time, because they are showing their even weaknesses, and people do appreciate, because people who watch those videos, they understand the creator is also as human as them.
Yes.
So so you don't have to be perfect. As initially I mentioned about the perfect, actually I have no idea how I use that word, because perfection is not in my vocabulary. Excellence is in my vocabulary. And as far as you are better today than yesterday, you are on the right path. That is what goal of my life is. And I really want to talk about your second book, Collaboration, because collaboration is the way to go, because competition is not the way to go. Collaboration, you help each other out, and that's the way to succeed. That's the way. So tell me more about your collaboration. How did you get that idea, and how do you collaborate with other people? Tell me both points.
Well, one, I work with other people. So you develop friendships, and you develop business relationships. And I have two individuals on two different elements that I work very closely with. And we will share workshops. We will do them together because we trust each other, number one, and number two, because we do similar work, but not the same work. And from a collaboration perspective, it's like getting a VA in a sense. You don't get a VA to do all the things that you love to do. You get a VA to do the things that either you don't know how to do or you don't want to do, right? And so with a collaboration, you want it to be with people who have different skill sets than you do. And so you're a complement to each other as opposed to a twin, I guess, somebody who's identical. And so you need to sit down and then you want to talk about, okay, if we do this and let's put it in writing, I'm sorry, the days of a handshake are pretty well gone. You don't want to have people at odds. You want to remain friends or coworkers if something goes wrong. It's like when people come to me and say, I want to start a business with my partner and we're each going to be 50-50. I go, no way. One of you has 51% and one has 40. I am so sorry.
That's okay.
One has 51 and one has 49 because somebody always has to make those final decisions. And if you're this way, you can come to a block and nothing gets done. And then you're going to lose your business. So rightly or wrongly, you make decisions, you try it out. If it's a good decision, you carry on. If it's not a good decision, you throw it out, start again. And so from a collaboration perspective, what I'm doing a lot of now, Sue, is I'm doing many more affiliates. So I will promote this individual and they will promote my programs so that we are supporting each other. And that helps a lot because bottom line is each person is then making money. With an affiliate program, the individual who says, yes, I'll be an affiliate, they get a percent or a dollar figure of whatever is sold. And so that's a real benefit to the individual to let their people know what's coming up. And if their people sign up, now you need some background work there, right? Because you need to be able to track the affiliate to know who the person came from. And then it's all in writing. These are the steps. These are the expectations. This is when you can expect your money. This is what has to happen, blah, blah, blah. You put all of that together so people know and they're comfortable about it because they're able to look at it and go, I understand 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. These are the steps that are necessary on both our parts to be able to comfortably work together. And the affiliates and the JVs, they're big things today because we can work all over the world. I have a workshop coming up Thursday night, and that particular workshop, I've got people from, I think it's 7 different countries.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So it's, there's that opportunity. Whereas before the internet, I was going to say before the computer. That's probably because it's the internet that's really making the huge difference now. And we're able to communicate with people in so many different countries. So it's phenomenal in terms of what we can do to help each other and at the same time help ourselves. Does that answer your question?
Oh, yeah, surely. And I would like to know the information about the workshop because even I will pass it on to my audience. And even I personally, I would like to join because I have a Facebook group for a joint venture and collaboration. And I have a question for you. At what point, I work with a lot of solopreneurs. Yes. And at what point they should start actually working on collaboration? Because sometimes they may not be ready because they think, okay, they are giving away their part of their profit. Yeah, so give me some insight.
That's a good point. For instance, for our affiliate program on one that's coming up next week, that particular one, oh boy, I'm going from memory here. On that one, The initial payment is $497 unless you want to be a VIP. So this one is on business, right? Developing business. And so from that, the first one, we give individuals 55% of what we have.
Oh,
So
wow.
497.
That's the highest I have ever seen, because generally I see the 30 to 50%.
Okay.
And yeah, 55 is really high.
Okay, so they get 55% of the first one. Then if they sign up for the second program, so the first one is a 6-week program, then we have a mastermind after that. And if they any of their people sign up for the second one, they will get 15% of the monthly fee for the master, we call it a master circle. And so that's one of the things that I think people need to think about. You said usually around the 30%. What if $497, 30% is what? About 100 and something. Do I want to go to all the effort of getting this organized to send out to my people for $100? Yeah. When you look at what your time is worth, is it worth it to you? And we've decided that this is what we would like to have. And so far, that's what we're giving.
Oh, yeah. Very, very generous. That's really good to know. Thank you.
And so when people want to think about doing an affiliate, stop thinking about how much money is going in my pocket. Think about how much money is going in somebody else's pocket, because if it's going in theirs, I'm getting money too, right? I'm not getting as much, but I am getting enough for me to get them involved in the second program. So, this is our beta. So the 497 is a really low end for us. The next time we run the program, it will be at least $1,000. And so anybody that wants to get in now for 6 weeks, it's well worth it. How you build your business, what is it? How do you set up your systems? What about your leadership? Because that's important for you and everybody else, right? What about this? The mindset. How do you understand making profits? Because profits are so much more important than income.
Oh, yeah.
People look at revenue and go, well, if I made $1,000, I'm doing well. Yeah, but how much of that are you keeping? That's the profits. So those kinds of elements are things I think that people need to think about when they are looking at collaboration.
Yeah, because I remember you made a point. Everything moves back to mindset.
Yes.
And the mindset is so important. It is so important for your life and for your business. And you also mentioned the life is meant to be enjoyed. So how are your systems helping your clients to enjoy their life? What are you freeing up their time, money, resources? How are your systems helping them?
Number one, productivity. Get more done in less time because we plan. The statistics indicate that if you're planning for 1 hour of planning, you are freeing up anywhere between 8 and 10 hours of work.
Oh, wow.
And, when I talk to people who are just starting businesses, I go, okay, which 18 hours out of 7 days a week do you want to work for the first year? And they sort of look at me and I go, it's normal for people to put in that amount of time when they're first starting out. So if you don't have the systems, that's what you're looking at. Whereas if you do have the systems, that is allowing you to attend the kids' soccer game, pay the mortgage, go out with your spouse, etc., making sure that everything's done because you have a plan. And back to the word no, somebody phones and says, oh, I'd like you to be on my podcast. And the podcast is all about cars. I would say, no, thank you so much. Let me suggest somebody that this would be good with, because it's not me. So you have to put all of that together so that you can live the kind of life that you want to live, as opposed to the one where you are going nuts because you are so overworked and overwhelmed and underpaid.
Yeah, I remember actually Richard Branson means basically he had offer to actually people they were willing to give him actually the private flight and come over there and he can speak and provide him, and he kept on refusing. He kept on saying no, I cannot take your offer. So finally they asked why. He said it is not in my priority, it is not my plan for this year, maybe next year I will consider. So people who are very successful, they have plan, and I totally means basically value that opinion. It is really useful. And how about leadership? So leadership, can you elaborate what is your definition of leadership? Because you have been a long time learner and you are inspiring so many other people to grow. So give me your definition about leadership.
Well, leadership to me is being the kind of individual that people want to follow or work with or collaborate with, the kind of individual that is trustworthy, honest, and really looks out for other people. It's not all about me. It's what can I do for you? And from my perspective, that whole aspect of leadership is critical if you want to own your own business. You were saying that you work mostly with solopreneurs. If you want to have your own business, and North America is becoming more and more and more solopreneurs, that people are changing the way they wish to work, and that's wonderful. The discrepancy is, what are you doing to help other people be better than they already are? That's what we're after. And yes, you're right. I am a lifelong learner. I still take courses. I still do the kinds of things that help me at the end of the day go, oh, I learned something new today. That's one of my mantras is, I don't go to bed until I've learned something new today that I didn't know before. It's critical for people to continue to learn. One of the advantages, we have more life today, right? The average life expectancy in Canada, and I don't know about the United States, but
the same. Yeah.
It's the same.
Almost,
here in Saskatchewan, the life expectancy is 72 for men and 78 for women.
Yeah, well, it's increasing.
Same. I plan to live a long time after that. But in order to do that, we have to have a focus. People who retire, because I work with those who are losing their jobs, I give them 4 options. I can help you with retirement. I can help you go back to school. I can help you get a job, or I can help you start a business. And most want a job. But for those who want to retire, my first question is always, okay, and when you retire now, what are you going to do? Well, I'm just going to relax. I'm so tired of working. I'm just going to relax. I said, no, because the average person, I read this statistic many years ago, and it may have changed, and I haven't been able to find a new statistic, but the average person apparently lives 18 to 24 paychecks after retirement. That's the average person.
Oh, okay. Because I heard the statistics that like 1 year after the retirement, many people
changed that. Changed. And those are the people who don't have a purpose. We all have to have a purpose in life.
Absolutely. Yep.
And when we're working, our purpose perhaps becomes our job, especially the children have grown up. If we're ready to retire, they're away from the home, etc. It's just me alone, or it's me and my spouse, whatever it happens to be. And that's fine. But if you're only tied to your work, then you have no purpose after the work is done. And so my job then as a leader is to help them find what their purpose is after the work is done, because they need it. They have to have
it's absolutely needed. Yes.
Yeah. So it's that aspect about keep going, be unstoppable, but you must have a focus. Just as we're solopreneurs, we must have that yearly plan that says, this is what I'm going to do this year. If we don't have that, all kinds of
absolutely. Those two things are needed. First of all, the purpose, because the purpose gives you the guidance, what to do next and how to set the goals and what to look forward to. And second thing, learning new things every day, because that keeps your brain young. Yeah, so then you never become old, because as far as you're learning new things, you are actually progressing. And I remember when we had a casual talk, that time you remember that mentioning that when you are on your deathbed, many people, yeah, they don't regret that, oh, they wish they would have spent more time on business. And when you mentioned that, I remembered Steve Jobs' write-up, because his last write-up was full of regrets. And he said, people might be thinking I'm so successful, I achieved so much in my life, but he said, my life is full of regrets. I wish I had more hobbies. I wish I had more friends. I wish. And that was really, really painful to read his, because everybody thought he's very, very successful. So, yeah, tell me more about that, because, yeah, you don't want to give up on this life with regrets. Means so.
Don't. You're so right, Sue. And that's such a great question, because we have to recognize what success is. And success is not just our business. Success is our family. Success is our personal life. All of those things are what I hope we all look at when we're talking about success. Because success in business, we usually equate to the number of dollars that are coming in. If we make lots of money, we're successful. And yeah, okay. But how do you treat your people? I mean, Steve Jobs didn't treat his people very well. And so was that successful? We have to look at it from both sides, not just one. And the other part is, what about family, right? If we're not spending time with family, if we have lots of money, but we still can't pay the mortgage because we bought too big a property or a yacht or an expensive car or whatever, if we're not living within our means, then that's a problem too. So we have to look and weigh each element and decide how that element impacts us and those we care about. And I'm sorry, I've forgotten the name of the company now, but there's a company in the United States where the gentleman sold the company and divided the funds that were brought into the company from the sale amongst all the employees. Now that's, in my mind, that's success. That man went home that night and slept like a log because he was so happy that he was able to impact the lives of all those people that worked for him.
I know, actually, even the Amazon owner's wife, actually, after the divorce, whatever share she got, she has been donating to charities like left, right, and center. So she knows something what the owner doesn't know. So she really knows, and I know she is going to bed really peaceful. So this is the most important point you can mention, right? That is in anyone's business, right? What do you think?
I think it's really critical. Yes. Lead people so that they have as good a life as you have in all those areas. Really.
Yeah, means actually you addressed all these points, but still I just wanted, if you can summarize that, how can anyone achieve their dreams and what is the best way to achieve those dreams?
Good one. Number one, have the dream, right? Know that it's a dream. Yesterday on the radio, I heard a question and I went, that's interesting. It was, when you were a child, what would you consider rich? What did you want to be rich? And I thought and thought and thought, and I thought, I never had that question in my mind when I was young. What I did think was I wanted to be a school teacher. That's all I wanted to be. So all my focus was on that. And when I got to grade 12, I was never a really good student in school. My parents got me tutors to help me learn to read when I was little. And when I was in high school, it was a struggle. And I failed grade 12 math 3 times. And in those days, we wrote around Christmas time, we wrote around Easter time. And then I went to, there was a third time. The first tests in summer school, that was it. And I failed them all. So I had to go to summer school and finish off what I had started in summer school. And I finally got 50%. That's all, 50%. I'm sure they gave it to me. But I wanted to be a teacher, and you couldn't go to university if you didn't have math. And when it came time through the school year, you go off to the universities and you write the tests and all that sort of thing. So that's what we did. And the guidance counselor called me into his office and he said, Sherry, it's come back from the university that you're not really university material. Well, the tears were right here. I was so upset. And he folded his hands and he looked at me and he said, if you really want to be a school teacher, he said, you go to every university, apply with every university, and somebody will take you. And I went, well, okay. And, I'm really upset. And as he got out of his desk for me to leave the room, he said, they said the same thing to me. And I went home that night and I thought, well, if he could do it, so can I. And I did apply to various universities. One came back that said, yes, we'll take you, which was the same one that said I'm not university material. But I was okay to be a school teacher. And I'm thinking, oh, this is really weird. You want me teaching children, but I'm not good enough for university. Okay. But over the years, get your degree and all those kinds of things, because those were in the years when you could teach and get your degree. You didn't have to have the degree before you taught. And so it's that element about knowing what you want. In business, what do you want in business? What do you want in life? So many times I get the impression that many people marry today. Well, I want to tell you that the reason you divorce your spouse is usually the same reason you married them. So think about it, right? My husband is wonderful. I married him because he makes me laugh. I love him. And there are times when he goes too far and it upsets me, right? He's laughing at the things that I don't think are funny and he's making me think, oh. And I'm conscious of that. Will we be divorced? Never. But the fact remains that oftentimes we don't think about what it is that I love about this person. And if that goes too far, how am I going to feel about
it? Actually, one of my friends says that I saw all the qualities in my husband and that's why I married him. And the moment I married him, I just actually started working on changing him. Yeah, and that is how I realized, oh, am I doing the same thing? Yeah. This is a really good point. The reason why you marry, the same reason can be for divorce. So sure.
Yes, it is. But it's that element about thinking ahead, knowing what it is that you're getting into, whether you're starting a business, whether you're working for somebody else, whether you're writing a book, whether you're having children, it doesn't matter what it is. It matters that you think about how can you be the best in this situation and how can you help others be their best? Because when you look at it from that perspective, the world gets easy.
Yeah, so I really, really appreciate all your insights and wisdom. Just to summarize, do you want to give any message to the solopreneurs? Because that is the main audience I have. Any
Uh-huh.
message do you want to, or if I missed any point, if you want to address that point and elaborate, you are free to do that right now.
Thank you. I appreciate that. The best thing for solopreneurs is number one, is your family on board? And I say that, Sue, because so many people run as a solopreneur, they run out of their home. And so it's really easy to mix home and work. I remember when I started my business full time, every day I went to the office, which in my case was my basement, which I had decorated as well as I could. And I worked there from 8 in the morning until noon. I took a break at noon, and at 1 o'clock, I went back to the basement until 5 o'clock, unless I was going out to meet a client or unless I came up to check the mail. Those were the only times that I left there. So if you're working from home, where's your office? Make it a separate space. The kids know that if the door is closed, mommy or daddy is working and they shouldn't interrupt at that particular time. They can put a note under the door. Then you know that somebody needs you. And then think about what time are you working, right? Like today I start work at 9 o'clock as far as my clients are concerned. And from 8 to 9, I'm at the office and I am there going through emails, getting things organized, prepared, whatever I need to do. And then I get my day started with whoever it is that I need to work with that day. So think about what works for you. If you've got kids coming home from school and you're a solopreneur working from home, maybe you take off from 3:30 or 4 o'clock until 7, and then you have an hour or two back at the office again. I don't know what works for you, but plan it. Plan that. Number two, make sure that you have all of your systems in place because your systems are going to give you back your life. They are going to allow time with your spouse, allow time with your kids, your friends, your community, all those kinds of things. And look at this. Work on this, your mind, every day. There are bad things that happen to us. That's just life. It's what do we learn from this that is going to move us forward. And so keep track of what's going down. And one of the things that I say to people, Sue, is, yeah, bad things happen. Okay, I'm going to feel really bad about this. I might cry. I might stomp my feet. I might do whatever. But at 3 o'clock on Tuesday, or 3 months from now, or 1 week, or 1 day, I don't know. It's done. Then I move forward. Allow yourself the grief. Allow yourself the anger, the whatever it is. It's okay. You deserve it because bad things happen. Get over it and move forward. And different people take different lengths of time to get over things, so work that into it. If you're somebody that takes a long time to get over it, then it takes a long time, and know that about yourself. And allow yourself to be upset or angry or whatever for a longer period of time. So work on your mind, work on your business, and above all, work on your family.
Thank you. Because many times solopreneurs, they are doing the business for family, but family thinks that they are giving more importance to business than family, and it is so important. So, who is your ideal client and how can anyone reach you?
Very good question. Thank you. My ideal client is a person who has been in business for a while. Somebody who wants to start up, I am glad to work with as well. And with that, having been in business, I prefer to work with people who are passionate about what it is they do, people who will take the suggestions and work on them. That is absolutely critical. If you just want somebody to glad hand you and say, oh, you're doing a great job, I'm not the person. No, because I will guide you in the things that need to be adjusted, changed, etc. So whether you are a coach, whether you are running a medical office, whether you are dealing in the trades area, that whole health trades, coaching, those are a lot of the areas that I get into, as well as the financial, right? Accounting and those kinds of things. People who have the smaller businesses, as opposed to those who have, the Steve Jobs businesses.
Okay, sure. Thank you. And means basically I'll put all the information about your website and contact information, everything in the description. And sure, means I will recommend people to contact you, because it's such a pleasant personality, and I totally appreciate you being guest on our podcast. And let's working on collaboration. Let's see how we can collaborate for each other and how we can help out each other. Thank you, and really appreciate you being on our podcast. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Sue.
Yeah, take care. Bye.
You have been listening to the New Beginning podcast. We couldn't go into details during the short duration of time. So if you want to know more on this topic, do contact us. Do tell us what you want to listen to and learn more. Your feedback is really important to us to serve you better. Please rate and review the podcast. Make sure to check out the websites listed below for various free resources. Thanks for listening and have a great day.